Greetings, this is Kevin Jefferson, father of the Forex fam and followmytrades.com, here with Trade Theory on it's June 7th, 2022. And it is I think what's today? It's a Tuesday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm just going to run some analysis on these different indices here, as well as Bitcoin and gold. So looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Index right now, it's still pulling back off of an uptrend, which I mentioned previously. And as I'm watching the trend occur, it looks like it could possibly go long, but then I have to go a little deeper and kind of do a little bit of examination. So I measured this trade out to look for an opportunity to possibly enter long if that was what this trade wanted to do, or this index wanted to do. And what I came up with was price would have to drop back down to 32,699.20, so, or the market would have to get back to that point for this to even be a viable trade opportunity. So when I looked at that, I wanted to find out if that was even a possibility. And so I went to the lower time frames, and looking at the 4-hour chart, this is actually pulling back off of an uptrend, so it's completely set up to continue long. But what I'm looking at based on that information is that price could come back down to this level before it goes back long. And if it does that, I wouldn't be surprised if price moved back down to 32,584.10 before going back long. And that would actually anchor the trade and give it more room to actually enter long at some point in the future. So what I'm saying is, based on what I see and what would make sense from an entry standpoint, or taking a position in this to buy the index, I would actually have to wait for the index to pull back and lose some value. And if it does that, then I'd have to watch it to make sure that it actually returns back to the upside. So as far as the Dow Jones Industrial Average right now is showing bullish behavior, but in the short term it's looking like it wants to be bearish. And so I would observe this before taking a trade on this and see if it's going to fall back. And the same for the S&P. So on the daily, they're looking the same, but if I measure out the possibilities of it falling back, I can see that price could come back down to the 4,049.22 on the S&P 500 before possibly turning around and moving long. So that, with all that information, we were early in the week, so a lot of things could happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if price fell in the short term on the Dow and the S&P, and then going and rounding it out with the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is actually in more of an uptrend than the other two indices, but even with that information, there's a real opportunity for price to fall back to the 12,248.58 area, possibly. Now, none of that's guaranteed. If price does continue to just shoot up, that's actually meaning that the indices definitely wanted to move higher, but I just see that there's an opportunity, or a legitimate opportunity, for price to fall back before it does that. Not saying that price will not continue higher, but in the short term, I see price falling for the indices. Now, what I'm going to do is look at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is showing that it's pulling back off of these lows, and it has a clear path, not a clear path, but it has a viable path to move higher. But when I look down at the lower time frames here, price is actually trending downward. And so as I go down here, I can see price getting down at least to 30,493.62 in the short term before making another move. But if it does go back down there, what we have to be mindful of is price closing below the 13 EMA and possibly the 800 EMA, which would actually be more of a signal for a move short. Now, what do you do when you don't know what price is going to do, even though it gives you a legitimate case for both sides? I would say the case for short is actually probably greater than long. So the case for price going lower is greater, in my opinion, than the case for price going higher for Bitcoin right now. And so that means that here on the weekly chart, where we do have legitimate upside opportunities, if the market wants to go that way, we have 34,781.29. We have 37,702.34, and possibly even up as high as between 40,281 and 40,281 and 41,419.35 is upside targets. Now, a lot would have to happen. Well, not a lot would have to happen. I would have to watch and see what happens on this lower time frame in the short term before I would take that trade long. So I would not be surprised if price continued to go lower on Bitcoin straight away without pulling back. And that would correlate with gold, because on the daily chart for gold is trending higher. And there's technically a the way that the market is structured and formulated right here, I can see that there's a strong case for gold to continue higher up to the 1915.73 area or more. So I wouldn't be surprised if gold continue higher. As I look at the lower time frames, gold is actually pulling back off of an uptrend, and so it could definitely go that way. And even on the weekly chart, price has been kind of chopping, but it's still actually bullish, and is bullish on the monthly. So when I look at that, what I try to do is actually create some type of cognitive correlation between what I just saw and what I know to be generally true. Generally speaking, Bitcoin and actually the indices, the S&P, the Dow Jones, and the Nasdaq, strangely, they actually they show a correlation more of a one-to-one correlation in the positive than people actually give it credit for. So what that means is when the Dow, when the S&P, when Nasdaq, when they all go higher, a lot of times Bitcoin goes higher, and so I wouldn't be surprised if price fell on all of those in the short term, because they're all showing weakness, even though the indices will decouple themselves and probably maybe if they do fall back, they could go higher. There's really not the same case for Bitcoin. It could fall back and go higher up to these areas where I mentioned before, but I would be mindful based on what I see to watch these indices and Bitcoin go south first and give us an indication of what it really wants to do, and then the opposite may be true for gold, where I could see gold maybe going higher before giving another indication of the next move. So that's how I really correlate information to try to make a connection and allow things to make sense in addition to just the technical aspects. There's no news on anything, or no high impact news on Wednesday, so there's high impact news on Thursday and Friday for the euro and the USD, and so depending on what happens with that could actually impact how quickly the market moves in either direction. But just to clarify, right now I'm bearish on Bitcoin. Even though I see a possible pullback opportunity on it, I'm more bearish than I am bullish. And the same with the Dow Jones. Even though it's in an uptrend, I could see a clear path to it actually pulling back deeply down to the low 32,500 area before making another move. And then with the S&P, I see it moving down to the low 4,000s to about 4,049.22 before maybe making another move. And that may not be today. It may be in the next day or two. But just what I'm seeing right now, or it may be a short-term move. And then the same 12,248.58 for the Nasdaq as a downside move before making another indication of its intention. So I'm definitely looking for bearish movement on those, and then gold has more of a bullish disposition. So I'm looking for gold to maybe rise up to 1950.73 at some point, not all at once and not overnight, but in the next week or two. I wouldn't be surprised if price moves that way. So that's what I've got for you. I hope that's beneficial for you. I really like to take this information and try to put it in a way that you can understand and allow you to see how decisions can be made and actually connections can be made between different asset classes to put you in position to build your cash flow. So if you want to learn more about how to analyze the markets for yourself and use what we call the DIY cash flow building system, find us at fmtrades.com. And if you want us to do that cash flow building on your behalf, specifically if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur who is looking to build cash flow, looking to scale cash flow without adding employees, overhead, or doing more work yourself, then find us, click the DFY button and find us at fmtrades.com so we can get you squared away and get you to building cash flow, especially in times like these when employment, overhead, interest rates, supply chains, all these things are out of whack. I got a $90 gas bill today for my car, and that was not cool. So that I'll get on oil on another video, but until next time, enjoy the day, become a member of the Forex fam, and happy trading.